One of the architects of the AUKUS submarine pact has dismissed assurances given by Donald Trump about the $368 billion deal's future, warning that promises from the notoriously unpredictable US president are worthless. Defence correspondent Olivia Casely joins us now. Hi, Liv. So there are these warnings, but the government is still confident that the US is all in.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that the government is pretty happy or relieved that we did see such an emphatic backing in from the US President Donald Trump when it comes to the future of the AUKUS submarine pact. As we know, in recent months, there's been some uncertainty, you could say, around the future of this deal, given the Pentagon's announcement in June this year that it would be conducting an internal review. So those question marks in some way have been answered by Donald Trump's backing in of this deal in his first meeting with Anthony Albanese. However, we are seeing that not everyone is so convinced, including the likes of Ben Wallace. He is a former UK Defence Secretary, a one-time Army officer, and he's made some pretty scathing remarks to me in which he's questioned the longevity, you could say, of Donald Trump's remarks. So if you see here in this statement, he says Trump is so unreliable, no one can rely on his word beyond 24 hours. So the best thing to always do with him is to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Trump struggles to think in timescales longer than a round of golf. So some pretty scathing commentary there from Mr. Wallace, the former UK Defence Secretary. We do, though, see some, I guess, positive murmurs from within the US system. So, for example, the likes of AUKUS backer and US Congressman Joe Courtney yesterday, who told Afternoon Briefing that he was surprised but pretty happy to see just how emphatic Donald Trump had been in his meeting and his sort of positivity or warmness showing towards AUKUS and his kind of appetite to really speed things up as best as possible. Joe Courtney describing it as a full-throated endorsement. One of the big question marks now is over the future of this AUKUS review. So it hasn't yet been handed down or publicly released, but we are certainly seeing some indications both within Richard Marles, the Defence Minister's language, even from the Prime Minister overnight, that there is some appetite even from Australia for tweaks to the deal in order to expedite the process. Here was Mr. Albanese speaking this morning.
They said yesterday not only was it said that the timeline was on track, but that potentially it could be brought forward. So we want to work hard. The discussions I had on the Hill today, I mean, there's very broad support for this. We'll continue to engage constructively. We, of course, want to, like any project, like we want these projects here, if they can get done and started sooner, we're up for that.
So what we're hearing there is an appetite, at least from Australia's side, for this process, I guess, to be expedited. But what does that mean on a practical level? Well, ultimately, on the Australian side of things, we have to drastically boost our workforce here in Australia, and that's so that they can serve the rotational forces of US Virginia-class submarines that are expected to be in Australia, in WA, from 2027. Beyond that, Australia will start building its own nuclear submarines, the SSN AUKUS, from the 2040s, and ultimately that's going to require a lot of Aussie brain work and workers as well. So that's really, I think, where we'll see the government moving from here, trying to ramp up that capacity.